Always have Robert here in Studio C. And here we are broadcasting from the beautiful KYOS palatial facilities. We've checked our temperature. You know, I had to have...
Wait.
What?
Say hello to Pumpkin John.
Hey, you know what it is? That time of the year, folks. It's almost Halloween. And here at Citizen Watch, we always get a pumpkin over there at the pumpkin patch, and we carve it out. Robert carved it out this year, and I didn't even know until we put the candle in its mouth who it looked like.
Looks like John.
Looks like Johnny.
You know what he did?
JP.
He sends me a message. He says, "So I'm a pumpkin now,"
So
and I
now
go,
no,
the pumpkin looks like you."
Isn't there a famous story about a pumpkin turning into a
supervisor? What? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Folks, here we are.
There he goes. You know, let's stop.
Oh, Johnny
a minute.
he has a good sense of humor.
He's got
You got to
a
admit.
good sense of humor, but it's thin skin. Really, I get a text asking if I'm a pumpkin now.
I think it was tongue in cheek. He didn't. No complaints to
I'd
management.
like to know one thing. I'd like to know. You know, I saw him and D. Tatum standing next to each other, and they're both pretty much the same size.
Well,
and I'm wondering who lost more weight, he or D.
I know that John, after that incident last summer,
Scare.
he really trimmed down and pushed.
Until he had his big
push back from the table. Yeah,
until he had the linguiça feed.
Yeah, well, you know, and I remember there was a picture there in the paper of he and Tony Dosetti. It was
Took up the whole front page.
Ben Durant.
There's another big guy.
Ben Durant. Yeah, those folks.
Can you explain something to me?
They push back what?
Why are all of the leaders, civic leaders, all big men?
Well, I think that
except for Mark Hendrickson, he's a scrawny little.
No, well, Mark is a scrawny. Well, not scrawny.
He's scrawny.
He's thin.
He's annoyed me.
He's thin when he looks at the other people. Well, you know, today we come to Studio C. We've
annoyed me.
We've been imbibing a little bit here in Studio C with a new product. I've never tried it before, but it's called Mark's Hard Lemonade, and it's evidently they're making lemonade out of lemons over there at the county, and they've started bottling it.
Wait,
folks.
Stop a minute.
What?
Did you know one of our sister stations is the Bear?
Yes.
Did you hear
92.5?
I was laughing so bad. Did you hear some of their stuff is stuff I'd love to say on the radio. I can't.
No, we
and
can't.
I go to Jason, their guy,
our operations manager.
But he runs the Bear.
Right.
And I said, how come we can't say things like that? And he
Well,
goes, different, but they have a great one, and it says, instead of making lemons out of, what do you do with lemons? Instead of making lemonade, mix it with vodka.
Yeah.
And I'm like laughing.
Well, I think over there at the county, Mr. Henderson, of course, he's our head of economic development and head dog catcher. I think he's running the pound now, and he was also doing the Castle Commerce Center out there, that big vacant field. Of course, they had a little soiree in the paper. They were dropping in a new flight simulator over there to
but you know what I was
give
told
people their citizenship from other foreign lands, and everybody was watching the simulator going in there, future MiG pilots that will hopefully not be fighting against us someday when we turn over our weapons.
I have
but
no
what were
idea
you
what
noticing?
they're doing.
What?
Because when I ask people what that building is, they say that's the new building for Yahoo.
Well, they say
Not Yahoo, Google.
Google.
That's the new building for Google. And I'm looking at it. And when I was at Castle, it had the flight simulators, and the next thing I know, I'm looking at it. They're dumping another flight simulator in there, and I'm going.
I think this is a flight simulator building. Well, Google, as we know, is over there. But anyway, getting back to what was in the paper, the lemonade. I tell you, it's pretty strong. It looks like 80 proof. They actually sell it over there at
Stupid as?
They sell it, over there at the County Board of Supervisors meetings at.
I'm tired of Casey's subtleness in this.
Okay, here we go.
I'm just going to tell you.
Now let's talk about it. There was an article.
There was a beautiful article in last weekend's paper, Saturday's paper, and it said, and I've always told people two things, and I always tell people agenda and perception.
Right.
And here's the perception: jobless rate dips to 10.4%. So I'm talking to Mel Levy about this, and we started doing the math, and I'm laughing because this is stupid, folks. Here's what happens: Merced County's unemployment rate fell to 10.4% in September. Its lowest rate in 7 years. Oh my gosh. So then Pedro Vargas, who's a friend of mine, he crunches all these numbers, and here's what they came up with. The drop between August and September is due to a gain of 2,700 jobs. 900 of them are farming. So, folks, get your pencil out.
You're 27 from 900. I'm pretty good at math here. That leaves 1,900.
Really?
No, 1,800.
8, there you go.
Okay,
You're good with math.
Sorry.
Anyways, so Mel and I are sitting here and we're scratching our head because we read the whole thing.
Right.
And I'm going to take it to you piece by piece, people. So Pete Vargas, who's a labor marketing consultant for EDD, he says, guys, 900 people went back to work or got put to work for harvesting.
Right.
It's harvest time.
Right. So harvest time in the valley, yes.
So 900 jobs went to farming. Okay, then what they did is the other 1,900 jobs, or 1,800. Well, it's actually 19. See, we lost 100 because Atwater lost some businesses.
Right.
But anyways, It said the information sector lost 100 jobs.
Right.
Okay, so now you're at 1,900. Okay, so you got 2,700 minus 9 is 18.
Right. Minus
Plus-
plus 100.
Plus 100 is 19, right?
Okay.
Now hear this. The gain of the 1,900 jobs was in the government sector. 1,700 in public schools, because guess what? People are back to school.
Teachers went back to work because they don't work all year.
And 200 of it is in the public colleges and universities. So UC Merced and Merced College took up the other 200 jobs. Okay, now follow me, folks. 1,900 jobs went to schools.
Right.
900 went to
agriculture.
Right.
Because it's harvest season.
And we lost 100.
Right.
They gave us a net of 2,700 jobs.
There you go.
So here is dumber than dumb.
Okay.
Mark Hendrickson, Merced County's Director of Community and Economic Development, said this increase is likely the result of city and county efforts to bring new manufacturers into the area, as well as helping. Is he smoking dope?
New manufacturers.
Wait a minute. And help existing manufacturers. There's nothing manufacturing in these numbers.
No.
This is
agriculture, maybe in a way roundabout way, but not usually considered manufacturing.
Exactly. So Pete Vargas explained that the 100 jobs information reflects some of the jobs lost when AT&T closed. Okay, and Pete goes. And Hendrickson said that although the drop in unemployment is a step in the right direction, there's still work to be done. Work to be done. What work? You didn't do anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, there's
kids went back to school. Here's 1,900 jobs.
Right.
The crops need to be picked. There's 900 jobs. And Mark's over here talking about economic development, and this is caused by new men. I'm like, what Mark's hard lemonade is he drinking?
Well, no, I told you it's a new variety over there, and this is how you spin the numbers, folks. This is how you make hard lemonade. In this case, Mark's hard lemonade out of these kind of numbers, because there was no increase in employment. It was people going back to work who were unemployed over the summer. Our good teachers, a lot of the CESA members,
right,
after they had their Labor Day picnic over there, and then of course a lot of the farm workers. They're knocking the almonds. And let me tell you, that's a cash crop. We need it, but this is not a recovery by any means.
But here's the point: the Merced Sun Star goes to Mark Hendrickson. This guy, he just like spouts off stuff, and people go, "Oh my God!" I'm like, who's listening to him other than maybe his family members? Because this guy,
I think the Board of Supervisors are listening to him, unfortunately, and they need to make a change over there.
Dumber than dumb. Here's a man that what do you call that? The Peter Principle.
The Peter Principle is where you get promoted to your level of incompetence. If you do really good in your job, people say, hey, he's doing real good. What can we do for him? Give him more money? No, let's give him a promotion. And he may, or she may, do better in that next job. But a lot of times, eventually, you promote out. You get to your level of incompetence. And this is called the Peter Principle.
Everybody knows that I'm always hammering Mr. Hendrickson, but come on, guy. I mean, this is the kind of dumb stuff that you say that has me incensed. And when I criticize you, you're another one of those Tony Dosetti, John Pedroso. Oh my gosh, I'm thin-skinned and you know, you just look at the guy and go, really? How did you ever get that job?
Well,
what smoke were you blowing?
The question I have is, why does he still keep it? And I don't see why the supervisors stick with this horse year after year after year with no results. And again, we're about results oriented. You know, there was a very interesting lady stood up at the city council meeting last Monday night. For those that want to catch that on YouTube, it's worth watching the public comment session. And she was upset about the murders. Her nephew was murdered here recently, shot 8 times and then run over in the middle of the street. And she was obviously upset about it. And she started off her speech by saying, you know, if I hire a plumber and he doesn't do the job, well, I get a new plumber. If I hire a gardener and they don't cut the grass, well, I get a new gardener. And she was obviously referring to not only the chief of police, but more pointedly the city council, the leaders of our city. And they just sat there stone-faced and looked at her and didn't have any response. And for you folks that don't know what I'm talking about, we hit a new record here in Merced. You know, we're always number something, either the top or the bottom. Well, we've hit the homicide record. We've broken it. Last year, 29 homicides in this city and county of Merced, the city of mercy. And yet here we are sitting at, I believe, 30 or 31, and we're not even to the end of October. As you hear this show, you're listening to the last week of October. What does that tell you? A block from your house, there's still a monument, and they haven't caught the killer. I mean, it's just incredible. So the people are fed up. They're looking for answers. We've got a councilman who's an ex-police chief who doesn't want to finish his term. How about some answers? What we should do about this crime problem within the city you now represent? What are you going to do when you get over there in the county? I don't know. It's a question.
Oh, you want me to say something?
Well,
I'm going to do this. This is the way they are. Hello, darkness, my old friend. The sound of silence.
We should have
if
that
they
song.
if they say nothing, then they can get elected. Because if I don't say, if I'm Tony, if I'm John, if I'm anybody running for a public office, the less I say, the better off I am.
Wow.
Because instead of tackling hard things, I'm not going to do that. And it's exactly what I was kind of reading about the dirty contributions that we read. Let's be honest, guys. Okay. Adam Gray, he's got a slush fund. He's got a fund. He uses it whatever way he wants.
Right.
Okay. I have seen publicly him at parties. Okay. I know that he uses his funds. I don't know where they come from. I know that he makes a good living.
A lot of independent expenditures on his
Exactly.
part too, but he's a little upset now that somebody else is throwing some money around.
I don't think that's it as much as it's not him. Here's what I like. This is typical California to me. Freedom of speech for me, but not for you, unless we can agree. So if I'm feeling the heat, then I have to be on the defensive, and to be defensive, I have to be offensive.
Right.
And the situation, instead of saying, look, people, here's the deal, here's the situation, here's the way it is. Okay, we got to look at agenda because somebody stays quiet. Tony, he's quiet. Well, what was your idea on Mansionette, Tony? I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, well, or what's your idea for council?
John, what's your idea? Well, vote for me and I'll tell you. Yeah. Oh, okay. We
want to know before that.
Right. And so what we get is we get this garbage in the Sun Star, okay, with Mark Hendrickson, who is not judged by his performance. No, here's how he, Anna Pagan, and everybody are judged, folks. When you go to work, don't worry about being judged by your job. What you do is you're Anna Pagan or you're Mark Hendrickson, and you say, I'm leading one of 58 counties, and my successors in Stanislaus, which has Modesto.
Right.
And,
Madera.
And Madera, and Fresno, which has Fresno County. And what I do is I tout how awesome I am compared to those four people.
Right.
And I get my pay raises because it's comparison. It's not, you're comparing yourself to someone else's pay.
Right, not based on performance. Like
Exactly.
the supervisors gave themselves a raise tied to the judges' raise. Now, these guys aren't judges. I hate to tell you, they're not even lawyers, a lot of them, which, maybe if they had had some more education. But I could see justifying their raise, but they don't. They go under the robe of the judges. They hide under the judges' robes. And I got to give credit to the Madera Board of Supervisors, which gave that pay raise back to the county of Madera.
We did have two that did give it back.
Well, they did.
They did.
They did.
But the other two, I laugh at because
that's true. Supervisor Pedroso and Supervisor Walsh did give their pay raises
back. And the
back.
other two on the bookends, I call them the bookends because they're out in the outlying areas.
Kelsey and
First
Albanian.
of all, Lynn Davis is done.
Lynn Davis is packing. He has his assistant dusting off the trinkets and putting them
Joni
in.
Beacons?
I don't know who he hired, but he needed an
Joni
assistant.
Mayflower?
He needed an assistant after he was defeated in the kind
But here's the thing that I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. You got Deidre Kelsey out there who's taking as much money as she possibly can. And folks, this is evident, and everybody says, well, some of your facts aren't factual. They're suppositions and opinions.
No, that's okay. No,
okay. But the situation with Deidre Kelsey and Jerry O'Bannon is there is no company, there is nobody in this country that is allowed to take an IRS deduction for driving to work.
Well.
And they don't get a deduction. They get an increase in their pay.
Let's talk about the bonus every year for those supervisors, for those A-level managers. $26,000 a year in 320 hours. They get paid for vacation and sick pay. Now, when you're elected, you don't call in sick, folks. Who do you call? You call yourself and say, I'm sick? I mean, that's as bad as Anna Pagan putting don't throw your baby in the dumpster stickers over there at Sunnyside Creek. But anyway, we have to go to our first break, and, I don't want people to turn away and miss any of Citizen Watch here on KYOS AM 1480,
Goodbye,
the voice
Pumpkin
of the valley.
John.
Yeah, John, we'll be back. We're going to do this. What?
His initials are JP, right?
JP.
Yeah, Johnny Pumpkin.
Ooh.
Hey, happy Halloween.
Hey, folks, make sure you get out to that Tarantula Festival this weekend.
Where's that at?
It's up in Courts Gold. Hairiest leg contest for the men and the women. Saturday. Don't miss it. Hey, we'll be right back on KYOS. Broadcasting from the Three Big Sticks out there by the lake while they're still standing. Two big voices here in Studio C coming to you every week, bringing you...
Pitbull and the other lady, Alicia.
Yeah. Well, we like Keisha. And
Is it Keisha?
Yeah, it's Keisha, not Alicia, but that's okay. Don't
I know
date yourself.
Pitbull, though.
I know. Hey, well,
You know what? Why aren't our supervisors and politicians and our city employees, why aren't they like pit bulls?
Well,
I'm serious.
Because nobody
cares.
No, I don't think anybody cares what happens. I really am convinced. I've
You know
seen
what?
this murder rate go up. Absolutely. What are we doing about it? I mean, they've had some recent successes. I do have to give Cavallero and the troops over there at the sheriff's department evidently have some suspects.
The Silvas.
Evidently have some suspects in custody on this latest couple of murders. But boy, there's sure a lot unsolved, especially last year.
Yeah, but here's my problem is people don't pay attention. I read 2 months ago that the city of San Francisco had no idea why they needed or there was a need to do any kind of water restriction or anything. We're fine. Mm-hmm. What about the rest of the state? And I find out that San Diego now is adopting mandatory water limits because they're saying, hey, you know what? We're in a drought alert. So, we need to pay attention. And I just don't think that people do. I think what happens is everybody wants their own, give me mine. What I really thought was pretty funny is John Bramble in the last
city council meeting,
he had the audacity to have an idea other than always referring to Greg Diaz.
Yeah, we ought to
Attorney Diaz. City Attorney Diaz said. City Attorney Diaz said.
Well,
City Attorney Diaz said.
Mr. Diaz is down there representing the fine folks in Ventura, and I'm sure
Ventura Highway.
They're better. Yeah, find a highway. I'm sure they're better off for that. But we're doing this. We should say that we're doing this second segment here in Studio C, standing up, because we want to be in solidarity for all of the folks that patronize Bob Hart Square, because what the city did last week, not quite sure when they did it, middle of the night maybe, they took all the benches
I got to look at that
out
I
of
didn't
Bob
see that.
Hart Square. And I think what's happened, folks, is the guy over there that has 510 Bistro has had it. The person that used to have that establishment was a Palomino and a pal of Mino, Fernando Palomino, and he had Fernando's for many years, and he had to put up with the crap that went over there that the city allowed by having. I remember one time they had this horse ride. There was some sort of street fair, and they set up a horse ride right in front of his restaurant,
6 feet from where you and I would eat,
right
by the fountain.
Yeah, by the fountain there. And of course, here's the horses going around in a circle. Everybody's getting to see the southbound end of a northbound horse. And let me tell you, they eat a lot of grass, folks. And there's something that happens if you haven't been to that farm-to-table little thing that the Farm Bureau puts on. They crap a lot, okay? And so Fernando was a little upset that people in his nice 5-star restaurant had to view this through the beautiful picture windows. And I think the current gentleman that owns 510 Bistro over there has had it with the bums, the transients, just laying on these park benches, his patrons trying to go by to patronize his restaurant, getting hit up. Hey, can you give me a dime? Can you give me $1? They can't sit down. I don't know if you'd want to sit down after some of those folks have used those benches. But is that the reaction that the city should have by taking the benches? The city should have by taking the benches out?
No. And the problem is, look, we got speeders, so let's get rid of the streets.
Yeah.
Okay. It's dumb. And the situation that we talked about, Mark is a really good guy, and Rob, I think it's anyways, it's Japanese. Mm-hmm. It's not Portuguese. But anyways, Rob and his brother Mike, they own part of the restaurant with Mark, and they have issues.
You're talking about 510 Bistro.
510 Bistro, and their issues are numerous. And instead of the city trying to help them, Fernando could never get help.
Never.
I'm going to tell you where somebody talked to me. I was standing in the middle of the street. We were discussing the Mercy Hospital. Mercy Hospital Dignity Health had a program.
Yeah, right.
Where did they take their program? They go to Bob Hart Square.
Okay.
Because they're going to do a Taste of Merced. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm just speaking from a friend of mine who said, look at this.
Right.
You killed the business on a Friday night for Pinocchio's.
Right.
You killed 510 Bistro.
Right.
You got every knucklehead who wants to use their bathroom walk in through their restaurant in the middle while somebody's trying to eat.
Right.
You're competing with them straight on.
Mm-hmm.
You're hoping that they're going to be benevolent enough to let people sit at their tables and chairs to watch your entertainment, Dignity Health.
Right.
You should have had enough sense to take it to the fairgrounds.
Right. Well, or
Instead, you killed somebody's business, and I think if I was them, I'd have enough. Here you are infringing upon my night. Did you throw me a bone and say, "Hey, we're going to kill your Friday night," which is very. I asked somebody, and they said, "It's only one night." And I said, "Well, how about if I take my business and go to your office and stand in front of your door and compete against you for one night?"
There's only so many Friday nights.
The problem is there's nobody that thinks and uses their head. Everybody's in it for themselves. Now, Dignity Health, God bless you. You're our healthcare provider, one of the healthcare providers. The other one I love is Golden Valley.
Yeah.
Okay, but Dignity Health, you got more money than God, and you're over here passing a hat around trying to get nickels so that you can have a new X-ray machine, new something machine. And what do? You go into the middle of Bob Hart Square and you kill the business. You warden it off like it's a crime zone.
Right.
You don't know what you're doing, and the problem is, it was terrible.
Well,
and if I was Pinocchio's and I was 5'10" and a couple other businesses around there, I'd be raising holy heck, and I'd be having my hand out saying, "Give me some," because you got yours, okay? And Bob Hart Square is a city park,
right,
so anybody can use it.
Well, and this is what the bums, or excuse me, the transients will tell you. Hey, we're just having a picnic. Well, it's okay to have a picnic, spread out a blanket, and eat a sandwich, isn't it? And if that's all you were doing, folks, that would be okay. But you're not doing that. And we have, they're using the rules against us here, just like they did at Courthouse Park. And so, I got to give Bramble a little credit, ripping the benches out. But at the sake of the citizens, I think this
now they're all in Veterans Park again.
Yeah, exactly. And we see them camped over here again on the other side of what we used to fondly call UP Estates. Now they're over on the other side of the creek. It's like, you ever watch those balloon people that make the balloon animals?
Yeah.
They squeeze the balloon and the air goes one end or the other.
It's always in the same amount of air. It just goes from one end to the other.
Yeah, and what are we going to do? And I understand that people that have a lot of property downtown in the area of Bob Hart Square are trying to look for other areas for these individuals that have no...
Wait, stop.
But I think they're misguided a little bit trying to get this day center.
No, stop.
What? I'm stopping.
Okay. My brother and I were driving through Merced.
Yes.
Okay, you lived in San Diego.
Momo the Roach.
You lived in San Diego.
Yes, I did.
Let me ask you a question. Do you see dogs and cats running all through the streets?
No.
Okay. How many homeless people do you see sleeping against somebody's business?
We don't. We invented the transient in San Diego. We have the beach down there. You have all these tourists. You have all this panhandling. I know how to handle it, but it takes willpower.
And that's the problem. Johnny Bramble, here's my point to you, buddy. Did you take all the benches and put them in your backyard? Because that's where I suggest you take some of these people, put them in there, because I know you're a bleeding heart. I know that your buddy Renee Davenport is a bleeding heart. You guys think that...
I think you're talking about John Carlisle. I think you said Bramble, but yeah, Carlisle.
No, but isn't John Bramble thinks that, what are we going to do?
He's not real tough on the homeless either.
No, he's not. You're the city manager. This is a direct reflection of you, John. When I'm driving down and I see 3 dogs and 2 dogs are humping over there by Iverson Alcorn. Not Iverson Alcorn. Yeah. Is that Iverson Alcorn by the VA?
Right.
I mean, by the American Legion Hall?
Yeah, that's,
Okay. Yeah, there are dogs over there. You're looking, my brother's laughing and he goes, what?
Where's the dog catcher?
You see cats everywhere.
Oh.
You see, it's ugly.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, Mr. Bramble, if you want to be the leader of an ugly city, keep going where you're going.
Well, it ties into what we talked a little bit about last segment, the murder rate. I'm just completely disgusted that we have now achieved more murders than we did last year, and we still have 2 months left to go, folks. And I just don't understand how this is allowed. And the real statistic is last year there was 4 murders in the city of Merced, and at the time it was at 26. There was 11 in the city of Merced. I think there's been one more over here on our street or something that adds to that. So again, record number of murders, almost 4 times the increase in the city of Merced. We've got to work with the sheriff's department, with the DA, with probation. Now I have noticed probation is out there really putting the hammer down on some of these guys. They're on the bike path, they're everywhere, but the transient problem is getting out of hand again. They're digging in burrows there along Bear Creek. I mean, you never seen anything like it. They're
watching
hiding
Axemen on History Channel.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the ultimate Survivor Merced. I don't know what the prize is here, but the business owners of this town are losing. The people in this town are losing. That lady Monday night said she is a prisoner in her own home. She might as well have bars on her window, bars on her door. She can't send her son to the grocery store 2 blocks away because of the violence in this town. And she brought up a very good point. If this had happened over on the north side, if one of those UC students had caught a bullet in the head, oh, the response would be a lot different. You know what? I don't want to think I live in a town where it would be different. And I don't want to think that we want to commit the resources to South Merced. I mean, hell, we open up a pool every summer. We have a weenie roast over there by our supervisors. Why aren't we addressing the crime problems over there? Why aren't we giving these people some help, some heavy enforcement? And she's right. If this was happening over at the mall, as she put it, we would have a different response.
Let me give you something that I heard that I just scratched my head and said, are you kidding?
What?
Delray Shelton.
Delray, yeah. What did he say? He's sheriff spokesman. What?
Sheriff spokesman, right?
Right.
Okay. Did he get a promotion?
Yes, he did. He was the first black officer promoted in the Merced County Sheriff's Department
to a sergeant, right?
Sergeant, yes, I believe so.
When you get promoted to sergeant, shouldn't you have more responsibilities and stuff?
Well, yes.
Okay, but guess what?
Right.
He's not. He's still the sheriff's spokesman,
right.
Which means you're paying more for the guy to do the same job he was doing 20 months ago.
Right.
Okay, why aren't you moving him and using him as a better resource? But what you have is what I heard. You have captains in place. Oh no, I need these guys over here.
Right.
I said, why is it that there are only 4 police officers on the street on a Thursday night when you have 86 employed?
Right.
Where the heck are the other 82?
Well,
I can do math. Where are the other 82? And they said, well, they got special projects and special duties and special stuff. I go, where? And then somebody said, well, let's look at Delray Shelton.
Right.
Here's a gentleman that's a spokesman.
Right.
Okay. And he gets hired. He gets a pay raise of $12,000 to do the same job he was doing 20 months ago.
Right.
So what we're doing is we're paying more for less instead of taking Delray and saying, look, man, you're a sergeant now. Now let's get you more responsibility, and here's what you need to do, and you got to do this team, and you got to do that. No, he's still what?
Well, I never really thought about that, but you're right. And the sheriff's department, as well as the police department, is going to have to make do with what they have. And so you bring up a good point, utilizing those resources. And I know these are tough things to do. You can't anticipate when the gun's going to be fired, who's going to get hit, who is going to be a victim next. But I can tell you, after going through about 20 autopsies in my life, this is a very...
You went to 20 autopsies?
Well, I had to go to a few. You know, I was an advisor for a couple of academies, and we took them. And you know, it's a very, very traumatic thing for family members to see their loved ones when they get them back from an autopsy. And it's just sad that we have 29, 30, 31. I lose track. By the end of the year, how many are we going to have in this county? And somehow we have to stop the violence. You know, they had a march the other night downtown, and there was 6 or 7 police cars, community volunteers following these people. And that's the kind of response we need in these neighborhoods. We need to have a proactive response. We need to have multi-jurisdictions. We need to get everybody, as one city councilman told me, we need to get everybody sitting at the table together.
Well, let me ask you something.
Yes.
Mel Levy wrote an article in the Merced County Times that said that Merced's 2 biggest drawbacks to going forward and being a successful city is 1, lack of education. We see Gomes, Parker Duran, Scambray. Okay, they go here, they go there. Okay, Gomes at least is trying to put a STEM school together.
Right.
Scambray's trying to piece together what he has from Lego sticks. I have no idea. Okay, but the point I'm saying is their education is a failure. We see that.
Right.
Okay, then we look at crime, and every time I open up the newspaper on local and region, Forum will focus on Measure T, shooting victim improving, 13-year-old hit by a car.
Right.
It's terrible. It's bad. It's terrible. But there is something bright shining at the end of the tunnel.
What is that?
Hill Marchese is going to hold a job fair.
Yeah, well, and I heard they're going to.
And you know what? That's nice.
No,
and how many people are going to run to that? Are the people who are on EBT and welfare, are they going to run to Hill Marchese? Hill Marchese is going to employ people at their milk powder plant, and they say that the benefits are going to be something to... Their hourly wages start at $14.25 an hour. Now, I want to see how many of Anna Pagan's people are going to run. If I'm Anna Pagan and I'm at HSA, aren't I lining up my people who are on the welfare and saying,
I don't know.
Go that way, young man. Go that way.
Once they leave your roles there, then you don't have them in your budget.
That's the point.
Well, I think that is the point. You know, we're going to continue this. You know, we want to encourage people to stay with KYOS, our local programming here. We have Tea Party Straight Talk coming on after our show, and then I have a special edition at 9 o'clock. Going to have Vern Warnke. He was kind enough to come in, talk to me. Of course, we had Pat Lunny on last week. They're candidates for sheriff, another very important race. I talked to him about the murder rate, what his plan on helping that situation, trying to keep these down, also gangs. So I would encourage people to tune in and listen to that show and stay with us. We'll be back for our final segment on Citizen Watch. We're going to sit down now. We have park benches here. Where do we get these? Hey, it says City of Merced. One of our advertisers come over to my house and roto-rooed out my My mail slot. It's that time of year, you know. What did one of the Adam Gray's campaign ads say? It's lion timing. It's election time, so here come the lies. It's like, hey, which side you talking about, man?
Well,
it was a funny, but my mail slot has been so packed with cardboard from these guys. How many trees do they kill every season?
I went to 3 doctors' offices. We had a ladies' guest night, folks. And if you're a woman and you never went to a ladies' guest night,
how was it? Did we hit 1,000?
My brother got drunk. I think we had 1,000. My brother Vince, Momo, never saw more women in one room in all his life.
Oh, Momo.
His hormones were just, he was on, sensory overload.
Yeah. It was a fun time out there.
It was a fun time. And everybody helped. It was magnificent. It was phenomenal. Dave Marvuli's our president, ran a great job. But here, Pat Lenny was there too.
Yeah, he was selling tickets, wasn't he?
Selling tickets.
I told him to tie a knot in his apron so they wouldn't pull his strings.
But here's the funny part about all of this.
What?
Okay.
What?
It goes into campaigns.
Yes.
It's that time of the year.
Well, hey, the election's coming up.
What bugs me is that the Democratic Party gets more money from labor union.
Oh, well, hey, we know how it is to be labor friendly. It's so nice to see people like that in our midst.
People like what?
Democrats.
That.
Yeah,
but anyways,
reading from
you mean the Tony DeSettis of the world, the John Pedrosos, the Adam Grays, the Machine, the Jimmy Costas.
Jim Costa.
Hey, just think back. People don't realize this.
Jimmy says it's in his bones. I wonder if that's how many bones he's given the farmers here in this valley. And I don't mean bones. I mean, how many times has he boned you guys?
Yeah, but here's the point.
You still support him? How do you guys on the West Side do that? How do you do it? Tell me how.
But Merced goes back to Dennis Cardoza. Okay, he was the what? He was the good old boy to Condit. Condit was the good old boy to Tony Coelho.
Do the begats. The begats.
You like the begats?
I like the
BF
begats.
Sisk begat Tony Coelho, who begat Gary Condit, who begat Dennis Cardoza.
Right.
Are you kidding? They're it's one after another.
That's a long line of secession, and boy, when they feel threatened by a little outside money.
Yes.
Ooh.
What bugged me was that. What bugged me was when Dennis Cardoza ran against Tom Berryhill.
Right.
This is what you had. Tom Berryhill's dad, Claire, had passed away. And Tom, trying to set all the records straight, goes down to Stanislaus County, and he pays his dad estate taxes. 2 weeks later, he goes and he files to run for Congress.
Right, because he lives...
Assembly.
Assembly. So you have to live in the district, as we know with Johnny Teixeira. So you don't have to live in the district.
Well, Johnny's a funny guy, because every time he sees me, he says, "You're Republican. You're going to vote for me?" And I go, "When you can vote for yourself."
That's right. I'll vote for you when you can.
So anyways, so Dennis Cardoza runs an ad.
Right.
Did you hear that Tom Berryhill paid his taxes the week before he filed? Okay, that was garbage.
Right.
The worst one was Tom Berryhill. Did you know that Dennis Cardoza's family owns a bar across the street from a school? Well, they owned Castaways, and before Castaways went broke,
here comes Golden Valley
High School.
Yeah.
And so you get this garbage.
That's how you spin. That's how you make lemonade. Let me have another drink of Mark's hard lemonade. Go ahead.
But that's the point too. Is you read about Jack Mobley. Jack Mobley got a bunch of money. And
Racetrack Jack. Boy, they're bringing out the ads. Something that happened 8 years ago, folks. They trot out that old racetrack. This time they got a different car. The guy's shifting out of it. It sounds like he has a posse there with a 454.
But the point is Adam Gray backed into this. He's done some pretty good things.
Yeah.
One thing I love.
We've been complimentary to him on this show.
But this is where people are stupid. I read books. I read books.
You read a lot.
I read the book about Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan.
Right.
Coming from both sides of the fence to come together on something.
Right.
So in our area, you have Adam Gray, who's a staunch Democrat, and you have Canella, who's a Republican. And guess what? They've been able to come together for certain things.
They're having ads together.
Instead of embracing that, the Democrats are like, "What the heck is he doing with that Republican?"
Right.
And then with the Republicans, you're like, do you understand that they're diametrically opposed to the same thing? I'm like, duh, that's what we want.
Right.
We want two guys from two different worlds to get together and say, "Adam, can you help me on this?" Sure.
Right.
Can you help me on water? And I'll help you on education, and work together. And for that, I commend Adam Gray and Senator Anthony Cannella. Is it Senator Cannella?
Yes.
I forget. Anyways, because we're stuck with all our little local stuff.
No.
But instead of that, people running with that, no, they want to break it down. They want to punch holes at it. Look, I'm a Republican. There are things that Democrats do that I look at and go, "God bless you. You're right. That's a good thing." And there are things Republicans do that I look and go, "Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous."
Right.
But I'm a realist. I'm not a staunch our kind of guy. And
No,
it
you
bothers
can't be
me.
that.
It bothers me that the staunch Democrats are going to pick fun of Mobley Jack because he got money handed
He
to
finally
him.
got a little money in this campaign. This is his fourth attempt at state assembly. He ran against Gagliani twice, I believe. He ran against Adam one time last year when they were both vying for the seat. And now he's running against Adam again. And you can run against people, folks. And I'm sure, didn't know where this independent expenditures were coming, just as Adam has independent expenditure money
Do you know what I laugh at?
go to him. And so it's...
Do you see who the guy is?
you
that
think they're feeling threatened?
Do you see? Well, you know what I think is happening? I think Adam has done some things. They're not illegal. They're questionable. Okay, really? Well, where'd you get the money to buy $600 worth of cigars? Oh, I got that money off of my credit card. Well, what is the credit card? Well, my credit card is this. Okay, he knows what the rules are. They
Right.
know what the rules are.
Well, that's right.
Jack knows what the rules are.
Right.
I don't see Jack complaining about that he's breaking the law.
No.
I think Jack is looking at the prudenceness of you spending all this money,
Right.
okay, at your will and call, and yet your constituents are having some serious issues with what's going on in our local area.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about the perception, the agenda, and that's where we go backwards.
Oh, I think that it's interesting.
fun.
It sure is fun. And when you read some of this campaign rhetoric that comes through your mailbox, if you can clear it out.
But you're not the guy. But here's the thing. I know that you're friends with Mr. Mobley.
He's
Captain Jack.
Yeah, Captain Jack.
But here's the funny thing about it. It wasn't your voice when I heard, and Jack Mobley.
Oh, no. I haven't been asked to do a lot of campaign commercials. But you know what? We're talking about the election, folks. I must say, I did turn in my ballot to the county registrar of voters down there in the basement of 2222 M Street, the old mausoleum there on M and 22nd Street. And one of the biggest things that people's absentee ballots or mail-in ballots don't get counted is they don't sign the envelope and they don't return them by election day. You can't be postmarked on election day. It has to be received by
Stop being lazy.
it has to be received by
No.
by Barb Levy over there.
Stop being lazy.
Yeah, stop being lazy.
No. Stop a minute.
What?
We are becoming a lazy society.
What do you mean? Oh, you're talking to
Okay?
people stop being lazy.
People
Go in.
stop being lazy. I'll get to it when I get to it. Oh, it's in the
Do
mail.
it now.
Go down on the day of
Yeah.
and do what everybody's done for
Well.
centuries, and that's go pull a lever and go talk to your constituent, go talk to the people that are in your area.
Right.
Hi, Sally.
Right.
Haven't seen you and Mom in years.
Right.
Okay. Instead, what do? We stay in our humble abode and
Yes.
it's just amazing.
No, you're right. And for those that didn't get absentee ballots or go to the polls, please go to the polls on Tuesday. It's supposed to be a nice day, but I'm talking to those folks that have that little blue envelope. I counted it in my district or my election. There was 30 issues. Now, if you live in Atwater, you got Tony to vote for, and then you have I think the city council and the mayor. So you may have 33,
You know, Tony's
34.
not his real name.
It isn't. It's Anthony.
It's Mark Anthony DeSetti.
Oh well.
Did you know that?
No.
I like that name.
Maybe
I wish I liked him as much as I like his name.
Which one do you
He's
get?
angry.
Mark or Tony? Well, let me just finish up this thought. We need to encourage folks to take that blue envelope, fill out the issues that are important to you, fill them all out.
They get
there's
it.
governor,
Or
there's
people
the
that listen are
propositions.
educated.
I hope so. And please just send them in, take them down
Thank
to the
God
registrar.
you didn't zip open that letter again.
Yeah,
I'd have killed you.
If it's Saturday and you're listening to this show, I don't know if I'd trust putting it in the mail because that's only Monday and Tuesday
Walk
to
it.
get there.
Go to the county
walk
building.
it in. And the other
Go
thing
look
that
what your
Robert
taxes
said,
pays on.
exactly. Go see what your tax. Nice building down there. Stop in at the snack bar right off the entrance to registrar. Anyway, the other thing Robert said about going to the polls, people, get off your lazy, and get to the polls. Walk your mail-in ballot if you haven't mailed it already to the polls. Any poll worker will take
the
it.
thing
So I'll
is-
get off my voting rant.
No, and I agree. Here's the thing. I was watching a car. Here's what it came to me. I'm watching a car commercial. Mm-hmm. I'm 53 years old.
Right.
I had to learn how to parallel park. In the state of California, it's no longer required.
Right.
Okay, so you got people who are back and forth, trying to get into a little parking spot, while
Yeah.
knotheads are going in a double yellow, going into the opposite direction,
Especially
because they
downtown.
don't want to wait.
Yeah.
Okay, stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at the car commercials.
Right.
It has blind spot.
Oh, yeah. No, they
wait,
have. You push a button.
Excuse me. I don't have to look over my blind spot.
All right.
No. Oh, and it has. You could go into your dashboard and pull up your Facebook. Wait a minute.
Social media, yeah.
I can't have a GPS system attached to my windshield.
Right.
But I can have a Facebook flashing Joni
Yeah.
and all her new pictures of her kids.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, what? Wait. And then you don't even have to learn how to back up, because when you get in the car, just back up and it'll go beep 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 when you're going to run into something.
Yeah,
For
no.
lazy people, the lights go go off automatically after a time-censored situation. Hey, we're making things for lazy people.
Well, we really
Go
are.
vote.
Yeah, please. Yeah, and Robert brings up a good point. Again, I just want to push this Tarantula Festival this weekend. I think it's a really
Tarantula
neat thing.
Festival. Really? Are you serious?
Well, the tarantulas move this time of year. They're out there looking for love. They're looking for a
Is
mate.
this up towards Raymond?
No, it's at Course Gold, and it's going to be Saturday.
I drove to Raymond, and I see this thing coming across the street, and I go, that's a tarantula.
Yeah, they're
and the guy
huge.
goes, yeah, steps on it.
Yeah.
No problem.
No,
he
don't.
spits, and I'm looking at the guy going, it's a tarantula.
Yeah, you
and
don't-
he goes, where are you from? And I go, Chicago. We don't have tarantulas.
No, I had a girl tell me once, any spider I can identify at 60 miles an hour as we drove by it is too big of a spider, but it's a really fun festival. They have
When is
hairiest it's Saturday. They have the hairiest leg contest for men and women, which I think is kind of interesting. And
Because you win every year?
no,
for both?
no. I can only imagine the guy that takes his gal there and says, "Hey, honey, I want you to enter in this contest." But look, one thing I did want to talk a little bit about is just give a message to all of our school leaders out there. I know that it's the weekend, and now would be a good time to fill out those campaign disclosure forms. Any meals that you've taken, Mr. Gomes, Mrs. Duran,
Does that include Halloween candy?
Mr. Scambray, yeah, any trick or treating out
Vinny.
there.
What do you call him Mr. for? He's Vinny.
Vinny.
He's angered me.
V. Scott, yeah, he's over there trying to keep the bricks on over there at El Cap at the new high school. But again, this is a good time to fill out those forms so you don't get fined by the FPPC for not reporting those meals. So I just wanted to give a little, just a heads up to those folks.
How did they miss it? And did you notice the years were all the same?
Well, it's just one of those things when the guy that gives you the meals reports it, it's a good idea that you do the same thing. We're coming to the end of our hour, and I just wanted to finish up one thing more on
I have
Bob
a
Hart
kudo.
Square.
You have a
And I
kudo.
know that you knew Miss Rossi. I knew that you knew Susie Rossi.
Susie was awesome.
She was the only one in my mind, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that made the last person that made downtown work. She cared about downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Downtown was in her heart, and that big fountain down there
Named
in Bob
after her.
Hart is named after her. There hasn't
The one
been,
that the homeless people take showers in.
Yeah, take showers in, do their clothes. There hasn't been a penny. There hasn't been a nickel. There hasn't been a dime seen in that fountain for about 5 years. There was a time that people used to make it a wishing well, and I only wish that we could make it a fountain again and make it for the people of Merced.
Look.
But you are taking away Miss Rossi's memory and all that she did for this city a few cents at a time. How pathetic. How can you call yourself leaders? One of you is a candidate for office, and I'm not talking about Josh Pedroza in 2 years. I'm talking about Tony. How come you don't have some ideas about making downtown before you leave, before you take that $97,000 cushy job up there on the third floor where you can't see downtown and you probably can't see
Did he
the
make
people
that in retirement already?
Oh, geez, don't get me started. But why don't we have any ideas from our leaders? Like that lady said at the city council meeting Monday night, when I hire a gardener and he doesn't do the job, doesn't mow the lawn, I get a new gardener.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
It's coming up for gardening time, folks, November 4th.
Let me
can
ask
decide.
you
Go ahead, Robert.
Okay, first of all, you wanted to give CNS.
CNS Motors, I have to tell Joe Corvello over there, he is a great guy.
Enough of that one.
He fixed my truck. I'm just letting everybody know, if anybody needs a good mechanic, Joe Corvello over there, see us and take care of you.
And the other thing is, I'd like to say hello to Mark Migliazzo. He was at dinner the other night, and he goes, I got to tell you in front of everybody, I listen to your show. It's pretty darn good. So, Mark, this is for you. Hope you enjoy. Hope you listen, and hope you keep listening.
Yeah, and we hope everybody continues to listen to Citizen Watch with Robert the Velvet Sledgehammer Tomasetti. Some people want to call him Machete Tomasetti. I don't like that. I like the Velvet
Pumpkin
Sledgehammer.
John, where are you?
Yeah, and, I like, I'm Casey Steed. I don't know if I gave my name out. We appreciate all of our listeners. If you have any tips or anything you want to call in, again, we had a great show last week about showing how some of the union folks in this town feel. 209-406-8728. We'll get your voice out there. And to the people that called me since that show, I hear you, and we will bring up those issues. And I know you told me you're afraid, because I asked you, why haven't you said this before? And they said, Casey, I can't. I'll get fired. I'll get ostracized. Because you have people out there like Miss Mercado who write things. It is troubling to see someone like that in the midst of union members and pro-labor folks.
I still want to know
how is that allowed? Let me tell you, Miss Mercado, the way it's allowed, we don't have separate but equal facilities. You might do a little history lesson when you're over there at that school. We got rid of that last century, okay? We're way past that. And people like that, I just want you to know that we're going to report how you really feel out there. And I want people
the funny thing about it, real quickly, is that Mr. Collins, who this centered around, hasn't opened his mouth to say anything negative towards anybody.
Nobody.
And you know what? And that's just uncalled for. That you would make fun of a gentleman and call him and say,
terrible.
Someone like that. Well, Mr. Collins, God bless you. Hang in there, sir.
Well, folks, we got to go. And as Robert always tells us when we leave,
goodbye.